Welcome to the Slamming Door Sessions, a reality creation podcast where we slam the door to anything that is not our ideal. With your amazing hosts, Kristen M.F. Clark and authentic Cintia Serravalle. Join us in a radical embodiment of our ideal states. Hi everyone, welcome back or welcome if you're new to the Slamming Door Sessions podcast. My name is Cintia, my state is authentic Cintia, and we have the amazing Kristen M.F. Clark also here. So thanks for being with us today. Thanks for tuning in. And so, we have an amazing podcast today. But before we begin, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. So let's begin. Kristen, would you like to introduce the subject for today?
Well, first off, I was just noticing that, the sun's just coming up for me, but it's funny you're in Cynthia's in France and I'm in the US in California. So it's so fun. It's just such a trip.
Speaking of that, France is really strange in that sense.
I know.
Especially, I don't remember if I told you
about this before. Yeah.
Yeah, but in the summer here, I was very surprised because I remember once I was talking to my sister and showing her the forecast for the day, and it was like, oh, it's going to be cloudy until like 9 p.m. And then at 10 p.m., the sun is coming back again. It's going to be sunny. And I was like, wait a minute, France, that's not how you do it. That's not how it's done. That's not how it works. At 10 p.m., it's not sunny again. Like it's night.
I'm pulling up France on the Google map.
Yeah.
Because, you definitely are more north than where I'm at. So, I guess you would have longer light hours. But it's really weird. In fact, you're not quite as high as Canada, but it really is weird when you go someplace. Like for me, I think it was March. I went up to Canada to hang out with a friend's, her mom and help her move and stuff. And I was going to bed, I think it was like 9 or 10. And this was in March and it was still light out. And I'm like going, wait, aren't I on the same earth? What the heck?
But it's fun.
It really is. It is such a kick when when you just let it go by and you're like, oh yeah, it's because I'm more north or whatever. But when you really kind of, when you sit there and go, wait a minute, this morning I was somewhere where it didn't happen like this. It's just a trip. But anyway, we digress. Today's topic, our last week's topic, it's episode 9. We both had such a good time in talking about not responding, the amazing things that happen when you don't respond, or respond, is just and for me, it's such a place of power because I started noticing this last week. The more I didn't respond to things, like a headache or something like that, or just an old version of me that pops up, the more I didn't respond, the more it seemed to open a space for a whole new world, something I haven't interacted with yet. And a great example of this is last night. And the funny thing is, there's 2 things I purposely didn't respond to. And one of them, I did it so well, I can't remember what it is. I shifted reality so gnarly that I'm like, I don't know what it was. I just remembered I didn't respond to something. But the other one was, and I had this happen before, where I have a headache. And it's so funny because I don't get headaches. I never get headaches. The whole time I would grow up and into my teenagehood and adulthood, people would talk about horrible headaches, and I just couldn't grasp what is a headache. So yesterday I had a little bit of a headache, and last night as I was getting ready to go to bed, it was bugging me. And I went, what would, I pulled in Cynthia. I was like, what would I be doing right now if I didn't have this pain? And it was like, I just turn over and go to sleep. So I did. And I woke up this morning and there's like nothing there where that sharp pain was and stuff. And I'm like, this is just so much fun. It's so much fun to not, even going, what would I be doing if is a bit of a response, but it's also such a place of power. It's a fun, it's not like you shouldn't respond or you should respond or this is the right way to do it or this is the wrong way to do it. It's all just fun. It's a game, it's play. It's just fun.
To me, it's just an exercise of awareness, right? It's just exercise in awareness. So if I see something that is not pleasant, then I get to choose. And it's so funny because this week I've had, situations that were like, oh, wait a minute, I don't like that. And old versions of me or just different states that I've occupied would try to come up and be in relation to those situations. And I was like, wait a minute. And I love that. I love that awareness, because even though it is facing an unpleasant situation, just realizing this is the moment where I get to choose, this is the moment where I get to choose who I want to be. And if I am already occupying the state that I prefer and the situation arises, I get to choose, okay, am I going to switch to a different state or am I going to stay put? Am I going to stay where I am? Am I going to stay where I prefer to be? And that is, to me, such a precious moment. It's such a precious moment to realize, oh, now I get to choose. And sometimes these situations that are unpleasant, I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and I was telling her, sometimes being mad or being sad, it can be fun. I guess just, it can be fun. Maybe if I'm bored and I want to be a bit dramatic, oh yeah, because I have nothing else to do, it can be fun. But when these situations happen, and then it's like they are offering me an opportunity to get into a state that I don't prefer, then just that moment of awareness where I'm, no, wait a minute, where do I want to be? Who do I want to be? What state do I want to embody? And actually doing it regardless of what's going on. Ooh, then I just feel like I'm a badass, I'm chilling and I feel great and I feel happy because I am choosing to, regardless of what's going on. It's like, look at my power to choose who I am at any single moment, regardless of what's going on. Those moments, I just feel like, I am a freaking goddess,
Oh my God, that's so, you always hear me say, talking about the richness of life. We talk about money or whatever, but there's this richness, this lusciousness of life. And that's what you're talking about right now. That's what you're totally going into, because it's like the experience, that experience. And it's funny, I was talking about this in a previous episode about the energetic explosion within anger, that energetic, it's just, if you move beyond, oh, this is bad, I shouldn't vibrate here, ooh, I might offend somebody, ooh, I might hurt somebody's feelings. When you take your magic eraser and get rid of all that possibilities and just play, just jacuzzi on in that energy and just play with that richness, that different, it's so, it's so wondrous. And each emotion at different times, it comes with a different signature. You could take 5 different types of anger and just be like, ooh, there's this currency within it. Currency as far as energy, but also currency as far as money richness. There's just this amazing experience. And I love that you're saying in that moment, it's like, ooh, here it is. Here's that time when I get to make a choice. And it's so wonderful. Yesterday, so I just remembered the other thing that I revised. I was in my jacuzzi, and I'm used to it being so quiet up here, just shh. And everybody is really touchy about their property. They're it's not a big deal, but everybody has cameras for security or whatever. And I'm the only full-timer up here. So if anybody's on somebody else's property or whatever, I'll just kind of, hey, what you doing? Can I help you? That kind of thing. So we have what's called an Airbnb. We have a few of them up here. And it's just where people, instead of going and staying in a motel or a house, you stay in people's houses. You have them there. And so I was in the jacuzzi last night, and one of the Airbnbs down the hill, the kids were up here going in everybody's properties. And I know. And that is a definite point of trigger for me, as far as an old version coming up and needing to control everybody's behaviors. And I was right there. You're talking about where it's like, ooh, here's an opportunity to shift realities, because how fun is it to shift a reality and watch it happen, like you did with the little girl and her crying and everything, like you were talking about last week. And I was just like going, okay, what would I be doing sitting here in this jacuzzi? Who would I be differently if those kids weren't over there? And it was so awesome, because I closed my eyes and I could just feel myself being someplace completely different in a jacuzzi with an amazing sunshine and just relaxing. And in that moment, I didn't have the jets on. In that moment, the jets turned on by themselves. They don't do that. You have to hit a button. They turned on. And because they were so loud, I couldn't hear the kids anymore. And I just went, okay, I'm just hanging out here. This is weird. I'm just going to hang out here. And of course, up comes this part of me going, wait a minute, is there a timer? There is a timer you can set for cleaning that makes the jets come on. There's the whole trying to normalize it. And I'm just like, no. And I just sat there. I just sat there and enjoyed this. And I didn't really want the jets on. So I went over and I turned the jets off, and the kids are gone. The kids are gone. I mean, this was maybe not even a minute. And it was quiet. And see, and that's what I love. And yes, there's this part of me that wants to grab onto it and examine it. And you can do all that, or you can just go, yep, did it again. No problem. And it really, I'm going to let you talk, but the whole last night with the headache thing, I was trying to revise, and revision is almost work now, effort. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, instead, just don't respond. Just don't respond. And the whole don't respond, the whole don't respond is a much different energy than revise. It's just, there's just a lack of response, whereas revision is actually a response. So anyway, you go.
Yeah, 2 things. The first one, well, I'm going to begin with the second because it's shorter. I love what you said, that not responding is a different energy than revision, and revision feels like work, because I definitely feel the same, and because the thing is, when you revise, you're actually engaging with the situation, even though you're engaging from a different space, right? So instead of engaging from the just reacting to it without without awareness that you have the power to choose what you want to do and how you want to feel and who you want to be. So you can react to the situation like going crazy, or you can say, okay, I have the power, I didn't like this, I'm going to revise it, so that it's not affecting who I am anymore, right? So that is the point of revising, so to avoid that situation affecting your state any longer, right? But if you just say like, no, I'm not gonna to revise because it's just, this situation is just not affecting me, I do not accept that it has any power over me. It's just like, no, I'm not interacting with it. I'm choosing, this is what I am, this is who I want to be, and that's it. And I do feel that just like this not responding that we're talking about is, it's taking the power from that external situation, I feel, right? Like the power to affect us. And so it's just like skipping over the revision and just going into, no, who would I be if this is not a thing, right? Oh, I would be doing this. Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
And that's it, you know? And yeah, I definitely feel that there's a different like feeling. And you know, nothing wrong with revision, you know, nothing wrong with imagining, nothing wrong with anything at all. Just pointing out that it's a different feeling. And I just feel like it's more, I don't know,
it is more effort.
Yeah, it is more effort to revise. Yeah. At least that's how I feel. But yeah, so it's like it feels a little more effortless, and also it is, I kind of feel it's faster.
You know, I'm going to interrupt you for a second because I love what you're saying about God. It was God, you really do have these gold nuggets that come out of you. You're saying you're still engaging with the situation. And that's, yeah. So with the headache last night, I'm laying there and I'm like, okay, I got to revise. So now in the moment, I'm like, okay, what do I have to do to revise this situation? So there's just, like you said, not engaging is just this shortcut. It's a shortcut to straight to who would I be if I, and it's such a complete shifting of your reality. It's not a still engaging with it. Oh, I have a headache. What do I need to do? Oh, I have a headache. You know, you're still holding on to that. Whereas just going, what would I be doing if I didn't have this? Oh, you know, and it really, and there's going to be an even shorter shortcut that's going to arise from this. Yeah. And I'm sorry, you had a second thing you were going to say.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
I could tell before. That was the only reason I was like, I'm going to interrupt her, because I was like, she's not remembering.
No, I don't know at which point I forgot, but it doesn't matter.
You know, you always, like I quoted you on my Facebook this morning, you do come up with these gorgeous gold nuggets that just open the shortcut. That you literally are the ranger out there in the woods going, yeah, you can go down that way if you want, but this is shorter. Yeah. Go that way. This is easier. There's no uphill on this one. Go that way. And it's all downhill. Yeah, I love that, especially when it comes to other people, especially when it comes to, you know, revising your childhood, you know, like a certain mentor of ours did. And it's like, again, you're still engaging with something that you don't want to engage with. So it's so much easier again. And it's about bringing it back to you. Who would I be if? What would I be doing if? And it's just, like you said, it's there's this fun in that moment when you're like, ooh, here it is. Here's the moment where I get to do that. And it really, it's like going to your favorite movie or something. It's very exciting, opening up a present and just being so excited about it and going, oh, I can't wait to see what's in here. Because yeah, it's a whole different version of you. And instead of, instead of focusing on the headache, which is outside of me, this is this thing, and I got to play with that thing. Instead, I just look at me and say, oh, I'm going to invite the version of me that's not playing with that energy in. And it's so luscious. It's just so fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And I this feeling again is coming back, like feeling badass, like feeling like, wait a minute, I'm the one choosing here, it's not the reality is not going to pull me into a state that I don't want, and just, I don't know, it feels so powerful, it's like, it is actually exercising my complete power. Like, no, I am the one who gets to choose how I feel, who I am, and what I want to think and all that. So it really, and it's so funny, because most of the time I hear when people talk about negative situations, or when situations arise that are not what you want or what you expect, or that they seem that are not related to your desire coming into manifestation. But this way of looking at these situations as an opportunity to exercise your power to the fullest, it's like, no, okay, this situation is happening, but I am who I want to be regardless. And then when the emotions start happening in your body, maybe, or the thoughts start happening in your mind, but still you are like, no, I am God. Like, I don't care what's happening in my mind. I don't care what's happening in my body. I choose.
Yes.
And what do I choose? Well, what would be happening if everything was great? Okay, that's how I choose to feel. That's who I am now.
Isn't that amazing? I love that you're really feeling the badassness. It's such a feeling of huge expansion. It really is this. And you've been there when I did that one, a shorter version of that deep meditation I love to do, where I just get big and then you can contract down. And the coolest thing is, whether you're expanding and you're really getting into that big feeling, the feeling of just how big you can get. And it's so funny. I was doing this with a friend of mine who's in India. And while we were talking, her arms were out like this. And she goes, I have to hold my arms out because I'm so big. I loved it. It was so much fun. But, and then part of the meditation that I do is okay, let's contract down. Let's contract into small and fear and tight and angry. And you get to feel it. But there, like you said, it doesn't matter what you're feeling. It doesn't matter what your body's doing, because you can still feel the part of you that is huge and enormous and can't contract down, can't be small. It just gets to play in these feelings. And it's such a wonderful space to be in. It really is this amazing space of, I can do anything. I get to go anywhere. And the minute you say that, yes, your mind comes up with, well, what about this? Well, what about this? And, it is fun to be like, no, I wouldn't be thinking that if here's another opportunity to say, no, I wouldn't. That's not what I'd be doing right now. That's not what I'd be saying right now. That's not what I'd be feeling right now. And it is, it's everything. This is everything. With every limiting interaction I ever have had that echoes through my reality right now, to completely move beyond the existence of that and be like, no. And I love it. I on Facebook, I used to have all these groups that I would be in, just like Abraham Hicks type groups or Neville Goddard type groups. And now it's just like, nope, too limiting. Nope, too limiting. Unfollow. Just because I want to open up the space for who I am right now, where I'm at right now. And before we started this, I was thinking of you and I was like going, oh, I can't wait to see the goddess that's going to emerge today. And you're just like, I'm badass. And I'm like, oh, yes.
Yeah, I love it because, I was just yesterday and today just thinking, oh, the podcast was amazing. This episode was great, but I don't go in much detail about anything, right? And so it is so much fun to see what happens, like what arises, and so much fun to be delighted, Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. You say you don't go into much detail, and I think you go into a lot of detail, just a different type of detail than me. But because like I said, you always have these amazing gold nuggets. You say like this sentence, and there's just a whole world within that sentence. And it's like, oh, there we go again. Here go we. Because that's, I was thinking about this podcast. I was thinking about how when I'm driving, I love listening to things that stimulate this aspect of me, that just really helps. You could say it's epiphanies, you can call it whatever you want, but it's just expansive subjects, expansive interaction. And that's what you do for me. You bring up, you'll say just something and I'm like, oh, and I love that. I can drive for 10 hours on that kind of stuff, right? We just love, and that's the whole purpose of the slamming door sessions for me, is just letting this aspect of me fly free. You call her my freak, letting my freak fly free, which I do anyway. There's no holding this version of me back ever, no matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing. She's out and about. She's always just like going, oh. Like a friend of mine yesterday, he's putting his dog down, and it's so funny because the old version of is arising, but there's also a newer version that when I last put my dog down, it was an absolute space of celebration. It was just like, oh, this is I was just so excited to approach death from a different perspective, especially loss, quote unquote. And so it's funny because he's flipping back and forth between the two, and he and I just pet sit for him once in a while, but we don't really interact at all. And it's funny to watch him flitting back and forth between the two echoes of me. And I'm just sitting back observing, just letting him be who he needs to be. But it's funny because I'll receive a text from him, saying, how miserable he is. And he has another dog and he goes, we're just going to stay inside today and just curl up. And then the next text is something about how, oh, I'm just remembering all the wonderful things I did with her and all the fun things we went and we would hike and it was just such a trip to sit back and observe all of those and not need to respond. It's just, anyway, you go.
I remember what I was going to say earlier. Yeah. So it's about how, what you said, the mind trying to normalize things. Oh, and well, the mind comes and tries to say, oh, but it would have happened anyway. But when you know that the only reason that it happened is because of you, no matter if it's like you said, like, the sun coming up or whatever, like the thing turning on, or someone telling it something, it's like, it can be like the craziest thing, or it can be the most normal thing that happens every day, but the only reason it's happening is because of you, and it's fun when you get to say, to yourself, like, oh yeah, this could, your mind is trying to normalize it and find the explanation of why it's normal and it would have happened anyway and blah, 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 blah. And then you realize like, no, it happens because it happened because of me.
Because of me.
Yeah.
I did that. Yeah. That was yesterday. I posted on Instagram about how, isn't it amazing that our manifestations happen so automatically that they don't even feel like manifestations. Yeah. Like you get up and you go to the bathroom. You didn't realize in that moment, you just manifested a bathroom. You had a mate right in your mind what it was going to look like, and boom, you did it. And it's so the view of the world from that perspective, like when the jacuzzi just go on. And yeah, there are those things where you're like, whoa, that catch your attention. Or it's just like when you start realizing you do that all the time, all the freaking time, all the time. In fact, you do it so much and that you just say, okay, this is normal life, but this is a manifestation. No, darling, they're all manifestations. It's all manifestations.
Yeah. And the fun thing when you think about it that way is that yesterday has nothing to do with today, has nothing to do with the things that you can have today, has nothing to do with the things that are going to happen today. So it can be so radically different.
Yeah.
If you choose to.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if you keep calling it like, oh, this is normal life, then it's going to continue happening automatically, like every day. But it doesn't have to, and just this idea of yesterday has nothing to do with today. It's like,
well, especially when you go into that, there was no yesterday. There's no such thing as yesterday. That's just a construct in your mind. Yeah, there is like, okay, prove that all that happened yesterday. Well, I remember it. Memories are just a thought, babe. It's just a thought. There's nothing proving within a memory. Oh, well, I have this receipt. You just manifested that right now to support your belief that there is such a thing as a yesterday. It like we talk about rabbit holes, it's such, see, and this is the thing about me and being in my mind. Anything that comes up in my reality, I can disprove. I can easily disprove it. And it's fun. It's not disproving from a place of you're wrong. It's disproving from a place of, look, another rabbit hole. Let's go down there. Let's go explore that. It's just so much fun. Like you were saying, when these things arise and you're like, oh, here's that time, here's that place. And I lived in the world of yesterdays and childhoods and all that. And I got to live in a space of where I could see all that is just a mental construction. It's not real. You can be as real as you need it to be, but you can also play in understanding that it's not real. And you can see the hologram, you can see it. And I know which one is more fun. I know which one has more freedom, which one isn't so dense and solid, which one is wide open to play with in the space of who would I be if, what would I be doing if it just opens it wide open. You could sit there literally right now. You can close your eyes and be like, okay, what would I be doing right now if I was 15 years old? And you just, it's like, ooh, wide open, new space. You could go back in your mind to who you were when you were 15, if you want to go there. But it's just a whole new avenue to play in. It's just so much fun. It's just this huge playground with all these new toys, all these new things to go play on.
I started reading a new book like 2 days ago, I think. It's Meta Human by Deepak Chopra. And I like it. And it made me, it so far, it's talking about things that we have already discussed. But he wrote something about how our body is also a mental construct, you know. And I've had this idea for a long time. When we say, you know, that we are all one, to be honest, sometimes I just feel like we are in this soup of me. And so
Yes.
between you and I, you know, there is no separation because it's, even though I cannot see it and I kind of see like there is this limitation of where my body ends, there is no limitation. There is no empty space between you and me because there's just like this invisible soup that is just us, like being one all of the time.
Yes.
But this
You and
idea of the
everything
soup of me.
create. That's all there is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm you. I'm a construct of you.
Mm.
You created me. How
But at the
awesome.
same time, just having this, you know, not only with people, but with my cats, with the trees, with everything, like the birds, just thinking that they are not even an extension of me, but they are just me because I am this soup of creation all the time.
Isn't it amazing? And it really does touch in with when I'm always like, you can't see what's on the other side of that wall behind you. You think you know what's there, but there's nothing there until you go and look. And in that moment, you're creating, you're manifesting, and you poof, you manifest what it is you expected to see on the other side of that wall. And I've played with, oh God, I've had some fun where I'll close my eyes and I will shift my reality. You know, in my mind, I'm like, okay, there's a fireplace in front of me. But in my mind, I'll just completely erase that and move into a whole different space of maybe an old room I used to be in or something from years ago. And when I open my eyes, I'll be there, but it's just a blip. It's just a blip. I literally will see, instead of a fireplace, there's a closet or whatever, but it's just a blip. And it really is, you know, you do grab on, you're like, no, I want that to stay. I want to play here more. I want, and again, in a previous video I did on my YouTube channel, I was saying the apple's going to fall when the apple's going to fall. You know, what you're so desperate to manifest or whatever, it's going to happen when it happens. Just go play with, and you said it in a previous post, you said, surrender to your manifestations. It was so good. It was so, or something like that.
Surrender to your fulfilled desire.
Yes. See, same thing. And I love that because that's exactly it. It's like, don't get so caught up in what you're not seeing that you're missing out on what you are seeing, you know? And like you know, that moment when you're in an emotion or a thought and you're like, oh, here it is, or I get to change, or I get to don't respond if you don't want to, or respond if you want to, or if you know, whatever. It's just, it's so much fun. There's so much possibility.
Yeah. Maybe you can call it like living in awareness, you know? When you always see like who you are and what you're creating and what you get to choose, what you get to do, and just play. Yeah.
I'm writing that down. Living in awareness. Well, that could be the title.
Ooh. Yeah.
But you know, it's so much awareness almost feels like work, right? It almost feels like something I have to do. I have to now stop and what am I missing? What am I not being aware of? Yeah, and so for me, it's even easier than that, because when I'm moving into that space of what would I be doing right now if there's, I guess somebody could say, oh, but see, there's work there. But you know, for me, it's such there's a normal version of who you are that you are without thinking, you know, like when you're watching a movie or you're distracted or whatever. there's this complete, like just before you fall asleep, there's this complete dropping of any kind of work, any kind of pushing against, any kind of proper thinking. There's this complete dropping of it. Sometimes when I'm driving up here, deer will dart in front of my road, slam on the brakes. And in that moment, there's just this complete forgetting of everything I was thinking about just prior to that deer going. There's just this complete and you shift into this natural state, and am I making sense?
Yeah.
So I love that, because that's kind of what happens for me when I move into the space of, well, what would I be doing right now if, what would I be thinking if? So, and I love doing that with I don't do this so much anymore with money, but with money, it's like, if I knew my bank account had many, 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 many zeros in there, 7 digits or whatever, would I be playing with what I'm playing with right now? Absolutely not. Or yes, or whatever. And I love, just, there's nothing you have to do with that. There's nothing you have to be with that. It's just available. It's a room that's available.
To me, living in awareness would be even before that. To me, it's something that happens before. Is the moment when you just realize what you're doing, or what is coming up. You can judge then if it is positive or negative, if you want it or not. But it's that moment when you realize, oh, look at what I'm doing, or, oh, look at what I manifested. Then you realize, oh, I get to choose. Then you choose, and then you do whatever you want. Like, you can just go into what would I be doing if, or you can go into revising, or you can go into whatever you want. But the awareness comes so much prior to all those things. It comes before the choice, before exercising the choice. But there is no action yet, the action, effort or effortless, fast or slow or whatever, it comes after. But to me, that moment of awareness is, like, look at me. Look at what I'm being, and look at what I'm manifesting. Look at what I'm about to do, which is to choose what I want for me. But just that moment of awareness is so powerful, because it's when you get to realize who we are, first of all, and also to appreciate the human side of us, I think, like the human experience. Like, sometimes I just say, like, oh, look at my crazy human, what she's doing, like, look at how she's feeling, look at what she's thinking, but from a detached point of view, to the point where you can just laugh at it, like, oh, look at this silly human, which is thinking. But it's just having fun with the human experience. No matter, like, you can catalog it at, oh, this is bad, oh, this is negative, oh, this is sad, or this is fun, or this is happy, and blah, 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 but the cataloging and the assigning the meaning comes afterwards. If you have that moment of just awareness, and sometimes having awareness is just fun, it's just like, look at what I'm doing.
I love that you said cataloging. That was great. Yeah. It really, this whole space of awareness, it's interesting, because if we were fully aware of, like, how much you think, all the different cataloging that you think about throughout the day, how interesting would it be if we could truly wrap our minds around that? They say you have something like 65,000 thoughts a day. And I'm like going, times that by 10, and there's my brain, it's like, that's 65,000 thoughts a day. No, that's not enough. but it again, stepping into no time, where everything that you've ever had happen, or is ever going to happen, or ever did happen, is happening right in this moment right now. But beyond that, what we're dealing with right now is the only thing that's happening, and anything else is just a mental construct. It's just, you know, in the brain. It's not really in the brain. Then that's a whole nother episode, talking about original thought and where the hell that comes from. But you know, it almost moves into that space of awareness that you're talking about, where you step outside of time. You're stepping outside of there being, you being born or dying or anything like that, or you ever existing before this moment right here, right now. You know, that's that space of awareness of it another rabbit hole, because it can be big. It can be so big because there's no limits in there at all, at all. And I love what you were saying about how you tie, you know, for me, I giving myself the permission to be self-aware. You know, you know, some people are like, no, you must think of others, you must think of others, you must think of others. And it's like, well, how's that working out for you? How's that feel? And how do you feel like you're getting anything accomplished from that space? Or do you feel like you're on this merry-go-round that you just can't get off of? And when you move into that space of self, you give yourself permission to be narcissistic, to be self-centered, to be egotistical, and fully embracing those spaces from the space of the gifts that are within there. Now you can do whatever the frick you want. Now there's the badass. There's the badass that has the ability to change this world constantly to whatever you want. And I've talked about how, you know, I've been hanging out with somebody who's pointing out chemtrails in the sky. Oh my God, look, there's chemtrails. And I'm looking up and I see just blue. And they're looking up and they're seeing streaks going across the sky. And I'm like, there's nothing there. And they're like, how are you not? This is one woman. How are you not? It's right there. Look, it's even dark. It did it. And I'm looking up and I'm going, I'm sorry, I don't see what you're seeing. And wow, to be able to go, pollution, what is that? I don't understand that word. You know, to literally have that ability, because you're realizing you're doing it. You're doing it all. You do it all. You're perceiving a drought. You did that. Now, what would you be doing right now if there was no drought? If there was nothing to talk about in that subject? What would you be talking about instead? Oh, there's just this whole world within self-awareness.
I love it.
Yeah.
And when you realize, like when you realize who you are, there is no other option than to always turn to self, you know? Like if something is happening to someone else, then what do you need to change? You know? And sometimes it, you know, it can be I don't know, it can seem so weird, you know, like, oh, I want to help someone. Okay, well, change you.
Yeah.
You change first and then do nothing else, and you're helping them.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, last week's example of the little girl with the ear problem, that, you know, right off the bat, somebody could have latched onto that and go, oh, you should have taken her to a doctor. Ear problems are common in small children, and ear infection, and it can ruin her hearing. I mean, look at that. Do you really want to go into that? Or do you want to go into the space of, I'd be playing on my computer if she was doing fine. And in 5 minutes, boom, she's fine. It's the, like you said, it's the greatest gift you can give someone else, but it's actually the gift you're giving yourself right there, is the ease of just What would I be doing if they were fine? What would I be doing if this person wasn't saying any of those things? What would I be doing if this, if that, or whatever? It's like the hidden treasure chest.
Yeah. Because to be honest, like, what would you be doing if all your desires were fulfilled right now?
Exactly. But that's the big one I always come back to. If everything was 100% perfect, 100% easy, 100% freedom, which it already is, who would I be? Would I be doing this? What would I be doing? And again, it's like it opens up a space for, okay, well, what do I have to do for that? If you were that person, you would be saying that to me right now. Let me smack you. It is that space of, I don't know, let me see, and then letting it come, which it all, like I was saying, I love the space of knowing that everything around me right now is an instant manifestation I did right now. I just did this. And it's so normal. It's so easy that it feels like it's not a manifestation. It's like, oh, wait, that can't be a manifestation.
You actually feel that you did nothing at all.
I know, exactly. And almost even less than that.
Yeah, you actually feel that it's something I'm doing.
Well, that's what I said. And I was saying in yesterday's video on my YouTube channel, I was going, ease. Our perception of what ease is not. It's hard, because true ease feels like nothing happened. True ease is so easy. It's like, wait, no, nothing happened. I'm expecting something to happen. It's like, well, what are you talking about? You got a roof over your head. You got a phone to watch me on. You got water to drink. You got socks on your feet. It was that easy. You're like, oh, no. That wasn't a manifestation. Really? Yeah, babe, it was. And it was that easy. Yeah. That is a whole new space to play from. That's the space I love to play from. That's the space. It's like, it's already done. It already happened. It happened so quickly. Oh, but I can think of things I don't have yet. But why would you do that? Yeah. And the only reason we play with manifestations don't happen immediately is because we're manifesting that. We're instantly manifesting the experience that manifestations don't happen quickly. That's how amazing you are. So yeah, don't respond. Don't respond.
That was amazing. Yeah, I loved it.
By the way,
else?
I was going to say, by the way, I do have this would happen often with my clients I work with, is they get sleepy when there's a lot of energy flowing here. It's funny. It's either one or the other. They either get super hyped or they get super sleepy. So if that happens to you, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I was sleepy before.
I know, you said you wanted to take a nap.
Yeah, I was just imagining / taking a nap. So yeah, I was sleepy before, but now I'm good.
And what were you saying you were going to do in your nap?
What
you said?
Sorry?
You were going to imagine or something.
Oh yeah, I was just enjoying activities that I want to do this summer, but I'm already enjoying it right now.
I know.
Oh, and they feel so good.
See, it feels so good. Yeah.
Like when I came here, before I was in Italy. So I came here from Italy. It was really fast.
From Greece. Oh my gosh. So much. Again, when I think about all the different places in this world and the beaches and what's amazing with those, and the deserts and what's amazing there, and then the mountains and what's unbelievable there, that's where I'm like going, can you feel the richness? Can you feel how rich you are? Because all of this is wide open, available to you. All these experiences, all these places, just stepping outside of your house and going for a walk, and what you see during that walk, what you experience during that walk, the feelings, the thoughts, the moods, but also what you're literally hearing and smelling and tasting. I mean, it's like, how can we not think we're rich? How can we be anything other than hello? How are you not overwhelmed in every moment with the onslaught of luscious opulence? It's like, wow. I think we end on that.
Yeah, I like it.
End the recording on that. Well, everybody, thank you so much for being here with us. All our information is always below, whether you're in the audio or you're watching on videos. Guys, we want to interact with you. We want to hear what you have to say about this. What got stirred up in you? We'd love to have you come on here and talk with us and play with us and go down the rabbit holes with us, because that's the most fun.
Yeah. Oh, I love that we always come here to have interesting conversations. I love it.
Yeah. You know what I love is that my whole world is this, and it really is, like you said, like what I experienced in the jacuzzi and stuff. It really is. And it's so much more. And yeah, and it's through the non-response. It's through not responding to old stuff like, been there, done that, played there. Okay, something new. And and it's within the self-awareness. That treasure chest is within the self-awareness.
Yeah.
Woo woo.
So if you want to come and share your success stories, if you want to come and play with whatever state you want to play with, if you want to just come and have an interesting conversation, you can post the questions as well for us to discuss the subjects, or you can come and discuss them with us here live. So yeah. You're welcome. And thank you.
Thank you, guys. I'm going to be really good about this.
Bye.